Hi there, and welcome back to another edition of ScaleUp Radio, the podcast inspired by the Entrepreneurial ScaleUp System and designed to make navigating our scale-up journeys that little bit easier by learning from others' experiences. I'm Kevin Brent, and this week on the show, I'm delighted to be joined by Meg Hawkins, and Meg is the founder of Meg Hawkins Art. Starting from her kitchen table, Meg has grown her passion for art into a flourishing global business, and will explore her journey from making handmade greeting cards to securing international licensing deals and launching a very extensive array of products. And Meg shares crucial lessons about the importance of communication, adapting to consumer feedback, and her vision for turning her family-run business into a recognisable household brand. And whether you're a budding entrepreneur or you simply love a great business story, and whether you're in the arts world or not, this episode is packed with great insights on nurturing a small venture into global success. You're going to love this episode, and if you want to make sure you don't miss any future episodes of ScaleUp Radio, go ahead to find ScaleUp Radio wherever you like to listen to your podcasts and click that subscribe button. And you can also nominate a guest for ScaleUp Radio if you know someone with an interesting scale-up story like Meg's, and you can find out how in the show notes below. So join us as Meg shares her inspiring story of growth, innovation, and family values. Welcome to another episode of ScaleUp Radio. I'm delighted today to be joined by Meg Hawkins, who is the chief designer and founder at Meg Hawkins Art. So Meg, welcome to ScaleUp Radio.
Hi, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I'm really looking forward to finding out all about Meg Hawkins Art. So there's a clue in the name. What is it that you do?
So we run a giftware business that I'm proud to say that I'm the designer behind the illustrations on our products. We're a small family-run business, now in its 10th year, which is very exciting.
Yeah, congratulations! Yeah. That means you've already made it into something like the top 25% of businesses, because most don't survive that long.
It's exciting, isn't it? I'm like, 10 years, when we realised what it was, I was like, oh my gosh, that's come around pretty fast. But then when you realise what you've done to build up to that 10 years, you think, actually, it's been quite a while.
Yeah.
So we sell a wide range of products, including like tabletop items, stationery, home fragrance, bath and body, those sorts of things, to a global market now. We also focus on bespoke collaborations here in the UK, and we handle licensing and distribution.
Sounds fantastic. So, so nine years. What you've got global clients. How would you describe where you are on your scale up journey? What does the business look like? Does it people? Is it you? Is it a number of designers? What's it look like?
Oh, it's very exciting, if I'm being honest. We've got so much going on at the moment. We've so in the last 12 months, we've had like a complete rejig of how the business looks and how we want our product to look. Over the last 3 years, we've been able to introduce my daughter into the business. She is one of our head designers as well. So she does all our package designing and marketing and generally all of that sort of stuff. And then 2 years ago, my husband joined us as well, Aid. So he is now sort of like management of pick, pack and dispatch and getting all of the really good stuff out that I would have no idea nowadays how to do. But give me 10 years ago, I was the one doing it all. Yeah, manually at the kitchen table. Oh, there's a card. Let's get it out the post. We've had a lot going on. So what sort of things are you? What are you at? Do you need to? What would you like to hear?
Well, no, that's good for now. And then in terms of you're multi-award winning, I believe, as well, aren't you? So take us through some of those awards.
Yes, so we've had a few over the years, and again, I feel like the awards have grown with our business. So when you first, about 5-6 years ago, I realised that like a lot of people were getting further if they kind of said, oh, multi-award winning and that sort of thing. And you were like, oh, I don't know. Anyway, I was like, do you know what? I'll apply for something that I feel maybe is in my genre. So still very, very small company. We're still a small company now, but relatively to then, we started with the Rural Business Awards. And we are absolutely rural. You can't get much more rural than us. We live on the on the top of a hill in the middle of Shropshire, and get flooded in quite regularly.
Well, even on the top of a hill.
Oh yes, we are. Yeah, literally, it's like a pond around us. It's like you can't get out anywhere. Get helicopters in.
I'm similar. I live at the top of a hill. We probably almost see each other. I'm at the top of the Lickey Hills. So.
Right. Okay. I applied for it. Just kind of like. Yeah, just told them all about what we'd been doing up to then and how we were going. And anyway, we won, and it was for South Shropshire, so it was our area that we won in, which was really lovely because I think at the time there might have been 3 businesses for different categories, but 3 businesses that won in Shropshire, and I was so delighted with that because we are such a sort of like tiny little area that kind of gets, it's called Sleepy Shropshire. So it was just nice to be recognised that actually there is business going on in the sticks. There is stuff working and happening. And we're all trying to sort of build our little businesses. Okay, we're not in the middle of the city, but we're trying to grow and make something of ourselves. So that was one of them. We've also gone through to the FSB Awards. We've got finalists on quite a few of the Gift of the Year Awards. What else have we just done? So just recently, we've just been finalists in Women Who Achieve. So that's, I had my interview this week, which was a bit scary. So they do an interview process too, and it's not categorized. So the nice thing about that is that because it's not categorized, you can kind of be yourself, and you're talking about actually how you've grown as a person and how your business has grown, rather than saying, here's a greeting card against a million other greeting card publishers.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. And then a really special one as well. We've just been nominated for the Bella Awards, which is the Brand and Lifestyle Awards, which we were put up against for the Talent Award. So it was, brand talent, sorry. So so very exciting because we were up there against some really big names, which, those don't happen until April. So we're waiting for that one to
Very good. Well, good luck with that. And I think you're finalists in the Great British Entrepreneur Awards as well, weren't you?
Yes, we were.
And so that's how you've kind of evolved the kind of awards that you've been going for, been shortlisted for, have been from initially the smaller ones, but now gradually through to some of the big ones, and not just about, as you say, not just about art and cards and things, but actually about the business and about women entrepreneurs. Is that Sandra Garlick, the woman who?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
Excellent. Yeah, no, so very, very good. So what's the core of your business? You mentioned greeting cards. So is that the staple of the business, or how does the cash work? Let's look at that. How does the money flow in your business?
So I first ever started out, 10 years ago now, where you just thought greeting cards were the thing to do. So, it was the easiest thing to do, and that I could print it out on my home printer and then go to a market stall and sell a few on the market stall. And then I found a local printer who'd do them for me. And then you've got to find the envelopes to go with it. And it's been a mission. It's been a process. But so greeting cards were my very first thing that I started out doing. And then I sat there one time and I was like, there's only so many greeting cards and prints I can sell to the same people in the same area, for one time. And Aid said to me, he was just like, well, Meg, not everybody wants another print on their wall. I was like, right, what else do I need to do? How do I move on from this? In the true growing spirit, we bought a little subliminal printer and started making mugs and started doing all those sorts of things. So I do feel like we've near enough tried and tested every different way that you can make something yourself before you give it to the people who actually know how to do it. It's like we've tried it all. It's like, okay, we've got to do this on a budget. Where are we going to go and how are we going to make it? So in answer to your question, greeting cards were the very first things that we did. And obviously, the more I drew, the more cards there were. And I remember sitting in my studio the one time, and I used to have these you'd have a box and then you'd put a few cards in it, and you'd always have 10 cards of each design and things like that. And then I'd do a little stock check and I'd fill my studio floor and go, oh, look at all these designs, it's really exciting. Now I'm like, I couldn't even fill my floor. The whole studio would just be full. There's that many going on. Right. But we moved it forward onto, right, who do you sell them to? So what areas do you sell them to? What shops? What retail spaces? All those sorts of things. We were under that sort of how do we do it? Still had absolutely no idea. And I went to a networking meeting. Just asked to go along with a friend. Do you want to come along to this? Okay, I'll come along to that. And the CEO of the giftware industry at the time was talking. And I'm sat there and it was like somebody just turned on this light bulb because I don't come from a corporate world. I don't come from giftware industry. No. I literally everything I've done from day dot has been just kind of made it up as I go along and see where I go and see how it works, which I suppose is the entrepreneur in me. That's the little bit that's in me that, yeah. And she was like talking about things like gift wrap and gift bags. And I didn't even know that even in the I didn't even know that was a thing, because in my eyes, I was the consumer. I was the one who went into the shop, never really thought about where that card came from, who designed it. I just liked the pretty picture on the front and said that'll do for my mum. So in that way, it gave me lots of inspiration into what I could do next. So I had a couple of meetings with her and then, sort of went forward onto doing trade shows and stuff. So in answer again, sorry, I do bamble and I do apologise. You'll have to just cut in when you need to. We basically do everything from now. We do home fragrance. We do tabletop, which includes things like mugs, textiles, so aprons and tea towels. We do stationery, which now includes things like notepads and jotter pads and all those sorts of things, and obviously cards. We also do, what else do we do? Bath and body, so hand washes, lotions, lip balms, all those sorts of things. And obviously everything has our designs on. And again, there was a whole big process onto how we did that. Where do you get it made? How do you get it made? All those sorts of things. So we've gone through everything from finding people at local markets who make a beautiful product and saying, do you fancy making the product, and we'll white label it and put our designs on it. So things like that. So it's all about building up the product structure and designs.
Great. And what's your, out of all of those, what's your, to use a common phrase, what's your hero product? What's the
hero product? Well, it's this year, so it's not really one that's been over the years. But our hero product has been our home fragrance. We launched it in. It's taken us, as I say, 9 months to make, create, design, all those sorts of things. And we've tried it over the years. We've done lots of different avenues, and it's always been so hard to get a home fragrance thing made in the UK for us specifically. And then we've kind of outsourced into how to get it made. And it literally this year, boom, brilliant. We sold, hero product, definitely. Alongside that is our new mug collection as well. I always feel like my stationery and my other stuff, I feel like they're two separate sides to the business, because my greeting cards I can fill with hundreds of designs. I can make a design and I can create greeting cards and I can do this. So that's kind of like one little section to our business. Whereas the other side is more like the chunky product. It's like the tangible, the stuff you can actually pick up and look at, and how do we want this to work, and how do we want it to look in people's homes, and things like that. So at the moment, I'd say that was our hero product. There's going to be more, but.
And how do you sell it? Is that direct off a website? Is that through retailers, wholesalers? How do you sell?
So lots of different avenues, actually. So how do we sell it? So we've got everything from trade shows. We've done market stalls. We work with bespoke companies. We work with a lot of wildlife trusts, and we're in the National Trust now. We work with the RNLI. We license our images as well to different things, different places. So loads of different avenues, which kind of gives us our USP, I think. And that kind of gives us our, we're not just in it just to put a pretty picture on something and then see how it goes. It's constantly evolving. We're always evolving to the next stage. Like, how can we build on this? How can we make it happen? And then, so we sell to mainly, let me have a think. So garden centres, farm shops, small retailers, which we love. We love our small retailers because they're always so friendly and always so enthusiastic about selling you stuff. Mm-hmm. And we sell, as I said, licensing. So I license my designs to people and then they sell on the bigger scale. We now do distribution as well. So I say lots of different avenues, which I could talk about each individual one, but it's kind of like, which one would you like to hear, right?
Well, I'll tell you what is the one that you feel you've learned the most lessons from?
That's a split one, probably a split one. So that would be licensing and working on our own products.
Okay, so tell us about the licensing then first. What have you learned about licensing your products?
Patience.
Okay.
You have to have patience. If you don't have patience, don't go into it. Because I'm like, if I'm doing something, I'm like, oh, let's get on and do it. Let's why can't it be made now? Why can't this be done quickly? And, that sort of thing. And when I first started licensing, I just couldn't understand why things took so long. My brain just wouldn't accept it, but it's because I didn't understand the process. So again, because I wasn't brought into this area of expertise, I haven't got anybody around me that was like, oh yeah, I've been in this industry, I know what to do, that sort of thing. Because I didn't have that, I didn't understand it. But then the learning process of us making our own products has enabled me to understand why the licensing side of it takes so long to make the product.
Okay.
So we went into licensing. I was introduced to licensing again through giftware industry, and it was a way and a means. You know how I said at the start, so we'd make our little subliminal mugs and we'd be like, okay, how do we get this out on the market, and how do we get into the shops and sell on our own market stall and things like that. Because we'd gone into that side of things, I just didn't have any processes in place to sort of make it happen, if you like. But what happened was that's totally the wrong word. Working with the licensing companies, it enabled me to make new product that other people could see that at the time I absolutely couldn't afford. It wasn't something that was on my agenda. Still very small children at the time. Husband was still working, and that was my sort of like, this is how you can get into another side of it, Meg, where somebody else will make it and you'll make a commission on the side. So that's kind of how the licensing worked with it.
Yeah. And how did you go about finding people that would do that model with you, and how do the economics work? How do you structure the deals?
Trade shows. On the odd occasion, I've approached people, because sometimes, and you just sort of like, so if you walked into a National Trust property and you're like, oh my God, my stuff would work here. This is totally the way that I want it to look. this is the quality I want it to feel. These are the kind of people that I'm definitely trying to attract and sell stuff to. So then it's like the hard work. That's the trudging bit of how do you get through the gatekeeper? How do you find the right person to talk to? And then when you do find it, they've generally left the job 6 months behind and LinkedIn doesn't work or something like that. So it's a real sort of process of trying to find the right person. But generally trade shows, those people are already there.
Right.
So, you know, they'll do their usual walk around without the badges on, which is exciting for us guys, because we go, oh, somebody without a badge, you know, they must be important. but then you're kind of like, but then I walk around without a badge on as well. So I'm like, well, maybe people think we're important as well, but you know.
Yeah, it's a good touch. I'll remember that one. I'll take my badge off next time I go.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and yeah, they'll come up to you, and then that's the exciting bit for me, because I can work with people. I love like creating stuff for people. And obviously I'm a massive fan of wildlife and stuff like that. So that for me is the bit that I get all bubbly about. And then the rest of the team come in and put the level head back on me and go, right, how's it actually going to work? And are we going to make any money from this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I get the excited bit, and then, yeah, that's kind of how we get in with it, I suppose, with, you know, finding those sorts of people. Yeah, I think even our distributors, it was all trade shows. Everything, all of our latest accomplishments have been through them. So
what do you look for in a good licensing deal?
What would I be looking for now, as opposed to, you know, sort of over the last few years?
Well, yes, and maybe in answering the question, if things have changed, or you made mistakes in the past, that's.
Yeah, I think what would I be looking for? Something different, something that I couldn't make or wouldn't have any interest in making. There's been a few of the golden nuggets that you kind of go, oh, I really wish if I had that on the bucket list. Like one of mine, which is really funny, and I've had it since day dot, is bedding. I really want to put like my art onto bedding. I just think it'd look amazing, because we've got this thing about we don't really do a lot of repeat pattern. The idea of our images, again, to set us aside from most other people, we do like the big, large image and what it looks like. And then between us as a team, we've all got like these little nuggets of, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could have it on this? So some of our licensing companies make those products. One of the things that we did do, so one of the things that everybody has to do in life is eat, right? Mm-hmm. So we had, I was trying to think of just sort of like different ways to evolve. What could we put on the designs and things like that? And everybody knows, you know, you need to eat. So I was like, right, okay, what can we put this on? So I looked into white labeling, because that was another option of how we made these things work. And we did we found a white labeling company, which is now one of our licensing companies, to make biscuits and luxury biscuits. So it was really, really nice. We just designed all the tins and made them all lovely. We sold them, and it was one of our biggest selling products. And we shifted a lot for us, you know, again, small company, but we shifted a lot of it. And at the time we had a retail space as well, so we built a retail space up, which I can tell you about. But so we always had the option that if we didn't have, so obviously with food you can't keep it on the shelf very long, so we always had the option that if it wasn't selling through, we could put it in the shop. If it wasn't selling to our customers, we could put it into the shop, and then we always knew we had this turnover. And then we decided that we had to let our shop go, because our wholesale side of things was getting too big. Small business, we had to give somewhere.
Yeah.
So at that point, I approached the people who were making them, and I said, look, you can see on your books how much we're getting through. Are you interested in licensing? And they, snapped my hand off. So that was great. That was very exciting. So
you turned a white label relationship into a license arrangement.
So that's how when you just said, how do you find these sort of relationships? I'd already done all the hard work. I'd done the market research, and it was a case of like, okay, what designs do work? What designs don't work? The only things that changed on that was I used to do a lot of my bespoke designs for things like my zoos and wildlife parks. They took on the licensing, they took on a core range rather than, for different places that I used to sell them to. So I suppose in a way it was a two-way situation of, was it going to work or wasn't it going to work? But it's ticked now for nearly 2 years. And we're really excited because they're sort of like pushing it. And every time I bring out something new, say we bring something out new for our core range personally, we say, would you like to put it on that? So then again, it works on both scenarios, because if we're launching it into a shop, they can say, oh, do you want the biscuits? Do you want the chocolate? Do you want the fudge to go with that?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very good. So what, if we distill that then, and you were to give advice to somebody in your sector about licensing, what would be the nuggets of advice that you'd give?
Be absolutely sure it's what you want to do. You're giving away your art. Like, obviously I'm talking about art. So you're giving away your art for somebody else to use. And I've spoken to a lot of people. I don't know why, but people seem to ask me for advice, and I'm not that clever. But I've spoken to a lot of startups, which I absolutely adore doing, and I can't wait until I'm old and I'm able to just sit there and give them tons of it and just go, yeah, do this and don't do that. I can't wait for that part. But absolutely be sure you know what it's going to go on. Is the product that it's going to go on be quality? Your standard of quality, if that be Home Bargains or if that be Harrods, wherever that may be, make sure that the company that you're licensing with knows, or what you want to put it on and how it's going to look. And just kind of ask questions, ask lots and lots of questions. If you're unsure, just ask another one. Doesn't matter how many times you ask it either. Just be absolutely sure it's what you want to do. I've had some really, really amazing experiences, which I'm still go through right now. And I've had some that I won't want to repeat again. And communication, actually, above everything else, communication, above the lot.
Yeah.
Communication is key in absolutely everything. Don't sit back and worry, which I've done a lot of. And then eventually when you actually communicate with somebody, you realise that actually you're both thinking about the same thing, just in a different aspect or in a different way of looking at it. So, yeah. And
when you put a license agreement together, are you putting in targets? Do they have to do a certain volume of things, or what sort of things do you put into a license agreement?
I've done a wide range of different licensing. So you can do anything from selling somebody an image for a 2-year license, and once that's up, they can't sell it again.
Yeah.
You can do a 3-year contract of so like you get your commission over that sort of amount of time. You can do the thing where you can ask for money up front. I think I've done, well, I don't even know. I mean, until somebody comes up to me and offers me a different sort of way of an agreement, I think I've done most of them.
And what's worked best for you? What would you love to do again, sort of thing?
I like both. So it's a bit of a personal one as well, because for certain people who, like, it's charity, just say. So I've worked with people like Marie Curie and, as I said, the RNLI, and I work with the Lewis Foundation and things like that. So if it's for a company that, to me, I'm thinking I'm doing good here because whatever they make out of this is going to that charity that I enjoy, even if it's a wildlife charity or things like that. So I'll work out that in a different process in my head to an organization that is going to make money from my designs on their products. So does that make sense? It's like weighing up two different things. So in a way, you're wanting to do good in the charity status, but also on another one, you're wanting to grow your brand. So to grow your brand, it's going to be the sort of bigger corporations and things like that. And ones that have status, I suppose. Like I was trying to work it out the other day, and I was like, oh, okay. Do you know what? I'm having so it's our 10 years. And then I was working it out, all the companies that I work with licensing, I think it worked out at nearly 400 years worth of experience. And I was like, yeah, I've got a little bit to go with these guys. Some of them are celebrating their 150th, some are 100th, 50th and things like that. So I was like, yeah, I'm just like the little baby fry one on the end.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. And then you mentioned the other area that was interesting was your own product. So what about that? What have you learned about doing your own product lines?
I love it. I love it. There's so much enjoyment from going from absolute beginning of creating a sketch, thinking about how you want it to be, to getting it on a product, realizing that you've got the quality that you want, which is vastly important to us. And getting it on a shelf, and then somebody messaging you and just saying, oh, I've just bought this and I love it and it's amazing, or something like that. And this is, and with the launch that we've just done, we've had some really, really positive and exciting feedback. So yeah, that's definitely up there on the.
And this is with that's with the fragrance, is it?
All of it. So we've launched mugs. We've done the home fragrances, which is candles and diffusers. But what we've done is we've launched the range. So we call things like so going back to how we create our products and stuff. A lot of them come from things like the wilderness or the lakes or anything to do with nature. Again, all homing in on sort of countryside, seaside, worldwide sort of experiences and things. So the last two ones that we've just done, one was called The Lookout, so it was all British birds. And then we put that image on our whole entire range that we do. So it's bespoke to us. So when we license our images, those images are bespoke to that company. So right. We couldn't just say they had a certain stag that they've licensed that image to put on that mug. We couldn't do that.
Yep. So
to differentiate ourselves, we do our own. So we'll do our own different ones. And again, it's just about growth. It's, it's about, how can we create something? How can we, what sort of stepping stones do we need to make to evolve and make our brand stand out, I suppose. So yeah, but we also launched another design that didn't sell as well. So and then this is one of the things I had to really learn really early on was don't be precious.
Right.
We all kind of go, but why doesn't somebody like that little bumblebee or something? Well, it's, because they don't. They like this one instead. So it's about not being precious. And last year our little team, they got my card collection. So we've got a catalogue, we've got my card collection, and they culled about 80 designs. I was heartbroken. Yeah. I was like these big red markers through the designs, but since then I've probably designed another 80 and that's just filled it up again. So, I say you've got to work with your consumer. And that was one of the most important things about us having our retail space.
Okay. So so the retail space helped you to keep an eye on the trends, what was selling, what wasn't.
It was essential, and customer feedback. That was amazing. Just understanding what people like, what they don't like, even as far as a mug, right? You stick a mug on the side and you go, right, what do you like and what you don't like about that? And then you get your older generation going, oh, I like a little tiny mug and things like that. And then you get the builders come in, I like a big sturdy mug, and those sorts of things. So it all of these things come into how you are going to do that product development.
And how do you, now that you don't have the retail side, then how do you continue that? How do you get that information now?
I ask a lot of questions. So again, trade shows, absolute and essential. Like you put all this product out and you see, what are people picking up? What are they smelling? What do they want to test out? Do they want to test that hand cream out? What sort of products, what aren't they looking at? And are they not looking at it because of the design, or are they not looking at it because they don't like the product? So then you're asking the questions, and then you're saying, right, how can I? So just for instance, we did ages ago, we did some notebooks, and we got some comments on the lines inside. And we were like, are they just lines inside a notebook? Oh, no, they're not just lines inside a notebook. No, she says, my customers don't do that. Yeah. They have to be certain widths and so, yeah. But we now have changed the lines in our notebooks.
Yeah.
It's all these little things, and unless you do them, and we communicate a lot with our customers. I love going on a good old road trip, and we sell a lot in Scotland, as you can tell, because Highland cows and things, but we sell a lot in Scotland. So good job we like Scotland as well, because we just kind of do the whole trip. We'll pop into the shops, which generally shocks a lot of them, because we'll like turn up and go, just on 7 hours to get here. And we'll turn up and we'll be like, right, how's it going? What's happening? What's it like? Are people enjoying it? What don't they like? What do they like? And we'll take all that back. And we'll go, right, okay, this is the feedback. Let's, some things we can change, some things we can't. Yeah. So you either end up just dismissing them or changing it for the next thing.
Okay. And how do you, you're obviously very creative and you get a lot of buzz out of creating something new. How do you balance that with the kind of what you were saying, where somebody came along and culled 80% of your, but how do you balance that with actually what's the best sellers here? What should we be focus? And focus. How do you balance that need for creativity with the business side and perhaps a focused approach?
The hardest thing is just choosing like the next image, because although we are constantly looking at what next year is all about, because obviously we have to probably work 12 months in advance, which is always similar to the clothing industry and things like that. They're always 12 months in advance, aren't they? And giftware is fairly similar as well. And trying to figure, like, as I said, because I like doing lots of images, I'm always painting, I'm always wanting to do that, even though the whole percentage thing is probably 90-10, but when I am painting, the 10% is a lovely time. But it's just going, okay, do you know what, we've got one image, and for a collection we have to stick that on absolutely everything. What do we think? I'll make some right old bloopers, because whereas I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm working with zoos, and I get excited when I'm painting something like, I don't know, a big lion or something like that, and I'm like, oh, should we stick it on everything? No, Meg, because not everybody wants a lion on a candle and a mug, but what do they like? And this goes back to my photography times as well. So a lot of I was a photographer before I did this, and a lot of the photography was, in actual fact, similar sort of styles, so it's white backgrounds and things like that. And the way that a lot of the skills from photography have also been brought into the way that I design and do art now, because you've got to think about, how are people going to see things in their houses, in their homes, in their offices? If it's too manic and there's too much going on, it's only going to fit in one person's style of life. Yeah. But like with photography, with the white backgrounds and things like that, it could fit anywhere because it's not going to clash with your decor. It's not going to clash with, so those sorts of processes are what you have to do. And what we do when we choose what we want to put on a product. Is it going to fit in with, it's not going to be like in your face. It's going to be lovely. It's going to be a beautiful product to have in your shop or in your house. And you're not going to walk by and go, oh, it's too busy or something like that. And especially in this day and age as well, I think, we live very modern and very clean and that sort of way. And hopefully it does fit with what people like.
Excellent. And what do you love most about what you do?
I get really excited about working with people. I get really excited about new inventions and new ideas. And I could be in a total lull and I could be sat there and I can have a notepad in front of me. And they say writer's block. Well, I get artist block. I'm like sat there going, I just got nothing. I've got nothing. There's nothing in my head. And I'm like, right, okay. So I start doodling and I do a bit of illustration because I've got two sort of parts to my design work. So I do sort of children's illustrations, which I've written and illustrated over 20 books for children's books. And I have to I love working with people. So that's why I like working with the wildlife parks, and I like working with anybody really. I just get excited about product development, and I love standing there and they all have to tell me to calm down, rein it in, Meg.
Great. And what would you change, if you could? What frustrates you maybe, or what would you change if you could?
If I had a magic wand, I would have loved to have had somebody who knew the industry before I started. I would have loved to have somebody sort of go to teach me about it before. Not necessarily teach me the lessons I've learned, but I absolutely went in completely blind. I just made it up, the whole thing I made up from the start. And it's grown, and I'm really proud of what we've achieved. I'm really proud of how far we've come. And it's only until you do things like this that you have to go back and think about what the questions you might be asked, that you go, oh, I've done that. Oh, yeah, and I worked this one out. And then, as I said, I get startups, they'll message me and they'll say, how do you do this? And I can just instantly go, boom, I can tell you. Yeah. And I wish I had that. I wish I'd have had that before.
Yeah. So accessing some support, ideally directly in your sector.
It's really hard in our sector. Our sector is every single, the DIT, whoever it may be, anybody, it was always, we can send you an accountant. We can tell you about a solicitor. And I was like, no, it's giftware. Surely there's people out there in giftware that could help somebody understand how to make the next step. But that was the hardest bit. That was really tough. I go to all of these network meetings. I go to business meetings. I go to all these different things, and none of it connected until last year.
Right.
And I found and he's now part of the team, which is amazing. We found someone who is a consultant for us now, and he changed the way we thought and how to grow.
So what's he? What's in a nutshell? What's he changed? What's he advised?
So we got introduced to him. I got this free session from. It was a LinkedIn post, and it was a free session on let us have a look at your brand. How can we help? So I was like, oh, get onto that one. Thanks very much.
Okay. Right.
And then from that, they then introduced me to, so they were saying to me Meg, why haven't you got mugs? Meg, why haven't you got tea towels? Meg, why haven't you got this? And I'm like, because I can't afford it. Plain and simple. Absolutely. I have no investment. I have no loans. I have nothing like that. I can't afford it. Right. How do we get to afford it? Okay. Anyway, they then introduced me to this chap. I think I can say his name, can I? So
Yeah.
So they introduced me to Phil. Phil's already in the giftware industry. Being in the giftware industry was just like, oh, hello, wake up. You know, there are people out there that can help you and help you understand. And at the time, we'd just done Spring Fair. I was actually doing a trade show in New York for the first time whilst Aid and Coral were doing the Spring Fair trade show. So it was all a very, very up in the air, very crazy experience. And anyway, I went over there. It was testing the market. Those are the other things that I was doing. So last year I went to Australia to test the market. I went to New York to test the market. And I think all of these things are just like the things that you're trying to achieve. And if I hadn't have done them, I wouldn't have understood how those people tick, because we're all different. Every country's different. Anyway, from Spring Fair, we managed to get a distributor for Australia and New Zealand. A lot of work, a lot of bespoke work, a lot of design, a lot of product. But Phil came in at the same time.
Okay.
And whereas I could have I sent him this, I sent a client a list of all the products we could make, obviously all made in the UK, all quite expensive, didn't understand how to do the whole distribution price as opposed to the trade price, as opposed to the RRP price. Yeah. And he's like, oh God, you know, are you ever going to make any money on this stuff? Mm-hmm. Anyway, he decided not to go for a long range of the stuff, which is understandable because there wasn't any money in it for him on the conversion rate. Once we understood how we could get things made in cheaper but in bigger bulk, it enabled us to pull off one of our biggest distributions to date, which then gave us access to the organic way, which we've worked, of funding the next stage onto what we're doing. So, which is launching the last signature range, which we did in January.
Brilliant. So it's the cash flow from that deal is helping support. Yep. Very good. Excellent. So what's the end game, or what's the legacy that you want to leave? What's it all about?
What's the end game? Growing the business. So the whole point in me starting and doing this was to leave something for my family.
Okay.
So we've got 4 children, all grown up. And I have never really had anything to give them. Like, you know, when people go, oh, I've got a house, and when the house is done and all this sort of stuff, you know, the money's split and all that sort of stuff. And I've never had anything like that. We've always just lived just simple, I suppose. And I really wanted to create something that I could say, do you know what, at the end of the day, go flog all the paintings, do what you like, take over the business, whatever it may take, that I might have actually sustained something to give you at the end of the day. So looking to the future, it's definitely to grow this family business and to get that household name out there, the recognisable household name, and the people love it. Like, for them to see the quality that we want to achieve, and not just, and know that we've put the passion into it, know that we've put that passion into that design and that product. And I know it sounds a bit excessive when you go, oh, do you know, passion into a mug, but there's a lot that goes into doing that, and actually creating something that that's going to look nice in somebody's home. So brilliant. Yeah, just growth.
Love it. Thank you, Meg. And what lovely view to have on why you're creating the business. It's been fascinating talking with you. Are you up for a couple of quick fire questions before we close?
Oh yeah, what are they?
So, well, if you could go back to your younger self, what advice would you give yourself? You may have answered that already, but what advice would you give the younger Meg?
Know that you can achieve and have confidence in what you can do. Still to this day, I still doubt myself, but I would be like, no, you know, I would love have encouragement, which is what I hope I've given my kids, and know that you can do stuff, you can achieve, you can move forward. As one of my biggest fan friends, whatever, she is my best friend, and she basically is always like, you can do this, and have somebody to do that. And she's done that since the age of 12, so still doing it now.
Brilliant. Very good. Are there any books or podcasts or learning resources that you would point people to that made a difference for you?
Yeah, so this is a funny one for me because I'm never a reader. I'm like, never a reader. And then about 3 years ago, I picked up a book, and now I read every single day. And I find that it's not interesting to people who are around me, but they're always like founders books and things like that. Yeah. So the latest ones that I've read are Richard Branson, Losing My Virginity. That was brilliant. Yeah. Took me a while to read it, but I read it. And then Shoe Dog. So Phil Knight, so that's definitely one. Like everybody, we all listen to, what's it called?
Secret Diary of a CEO, by any chance? Yes. Stephen Bartlett, yeah.
Everybody listens to him, and he is good, and he does get the right people on, but I really feel like there needs to be some smaller businesses on there, people who are growing rather than multi-billion millionaires. So yeah.
Well, maybe that's the space we're trying to fill.
Yeah, exactly. And as I say, I listened to quite a few of yours, and I think, if we could get a few more creatives on there, I think that would be exciting as well. So
yeah, well, we're always open to it. So if anybody wants to make any recommendations, that's
I will. Great. I'll be sending you loads of them. Like,
good stuff. Any apps or bits of technology that you have found useful?
So I am the queen of typos. I am very good at them. Do them constantly because I get bored once I've written something. I'm like, oh, I've done it now. Grammarly. I bloody love it. Yeah. That's definitely one of my stars.
Very good. And you mentioned a couple of people already potentially, but who would you say has had the most influence on you as an entrepreneur?
Influence in as far as encouragement, definitely Lou.
That's your 12 friend from 12-year-old. Yeah.
Biggest advocate. She just every time you think no, she's like, yes, you can do this. My husband, obviously. He has supported from me picking up a camera 23, 24 years ago. He has supported me through absolutely all of it. My daughter, Coral, so she's my eldest, and she joined us, and I keep saying, Cos, do you not want to go and get a real job? Do you want to go get a real job? And she's like, no, this is my real job. We are building something together. And the rest of my kids, they all do the same. They're literally, they've all got different paths. They all do completely different things. Coral's a designer, so she naturally progressed in. My other son's a gamekeeper, the other one's a paramedic, and the other one's a student nurse. So we're all very different.
Yeah. Very good.
So
very good. And what's your most successful way of getting new business, of generating business? Is it the trade shows, or is it something else?
I mean, I think I've kind of said it. So trade shows, marketing. I think social media is absolutely horrendous now. It's so hard. You work so hard at creating the really lovely, beautiful content that you want to do, and then something slaps a condition on it that nobody can see your stuff. And I think that is definitely the hardest marketing one at the moment, apart from LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, which I never thought I'd say that because it's very grown up, but I just think it, for my business side of things, occasionally I slap a little quirky one on there that sort of says, oh, we are human, we're not all just doing this, but it's just really good. It's like, you can communicate with people, and you can find people that are in your path that you're trying to get down, and find them really, really good. Just building on client relationships, I suppose.
Very good. Excellent. So if people would like to get hold of you, Meg, or find out more about Meg Hawkins Art, or find your products, what's the best way for them to do that?
I know everyone says it, but probably email. And then you'll always get an answer because it will be either me, Coral, or Aid answering for you.
Okay, so we'll put your email in the show notes then, if that's all right.
So email is the easiest. We're also obviously always looking for distribution, licensing, and if you're looking to stock our products as well, we can give you a QR code, and then you can get a discount on it as well.
Great. Well, if you want to send us a QR code, we'll put that in the show notes as well. And if people want to, people go online and see examples of your work?
They can see it definitely at meghawkins.com, which is our B2C, and then meghawkinsltd.com, which is our trade site.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, Meg Hawkins, thank you very much indeed for being my guest on ScaleUp Radio today.
Oh, thank you very much. It was lovely to meet you.
I hope you enjoyed that discussion, and if you're building and scaling your own business, you might well be interested in our book, The Entrepreneurial ScaleUp System. And it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a practical handbook around scaling a business in a structured way. And you can order a copy on all your favorite online retailers, including an audio version, or you can find it and other supporting resources on our website, www.esusgroup.co.uk. That's esusgroup.co.uk, which is esusgroup.co.uk.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.